Hey there. So I'm going to give you two options, and I'm going to ask you to choose the one that fits you. Are you a happy person or a sad person? Are you an extrovert or an introvert? Are you masculine or are you feminine? I think you're going to like this next one, so I'm going to start the audience participation portion here. Hands up if you are a Boston sports fan. Yeah, all right. Okay. Hands down. Hands up if you are the rest of the world. So much pride there, my goodness. Okay, so let's keep going with this audience participation portion here. Early birds, hands up. Cool. Night owls. Yes, all right. Travelers. Okay. And now the homebodies. Yes. I think I know how this one's going to go being at Bentley, but leaders, hands in the air. Yeah, nice, cool. Followers. Love it. And now for this last one. Hands up if you are perfect. Oh, okay. Now hands up if you're flawed. All right, I like that, okay. Now, if you're anything like me, you just wish up here there was some checkbox that said other. Because for me, in particular, these questions, they make me feel, ugh. These binary options are just not sufficient. They don't capture who I feel like I am. There's no room for me to be other. So here's my answer to that last one. Is it okay? Can I say that I'm perfectly flawed? Does that work? Can I use both the words? That's good, right? There is no category or box that defines me. One label just doesn't work. The words that you can use to describe me, they're limitless. But since most of you don't know who the heck I am, here are a few descriptors that I identify with right now. Oh, it's my little Bitmoji. Say hey. So I am going to ask you to take a journey with me back in time, like way back to the fall of 2015, so I can introduce you to someone. You ready? My friends, meet Corporate Nikki. She sits on the 41st floor of the tallest building in Boston, directly across the hall from the former governor of Massachusetts and President Obama's close friend. No big deal, right? Meet her at a networking event or in an interview, and she will seamlessly walk you through her purposefully groomed resume. In her office, she is surrounded by photos of the galas she attends and the sporting events she goes to, and that corporate swag in her office is endless. And if you could just take a minute and take a peek at those double screens, they're pretty cool, not gonna lie. So, I'm gonna ask you to come a little closer so you can take a peek behind the curtain and really meet Corporate Nikki. Okay, so that's not me. That's Laura Dern from the HBO show Enlightened. But this scene could have very easily been plucked from that 41st floor women's bathroom. No swag, no filters, no perfectly polished responses. Those tears, they were real. But the question that maybe you're asking, the question I was asking myself is, what the heck did I have to cry about? Well, day in and day out, I felt myself slipping away. I had this nagging feeling that I was going to lose myself. I was burnt out, and honestly, I had lost myself. So I knew I had to do something to give the real me some room to breathe. I took a leap. I bet on myself, and I started my own business. And in that process, there has been so much transformation that has taken place. So I've already had you go back once, but let's go back a little further to elementary school, where we learned about the process of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, right? So initially, that caterpillar eats everything in sight, consumes everything possible to grow larger. Then there's this cocoon phase, that protective shell that allows for this magical transformation to happen. Then that metamorphosis takes place, and the butterfly is formed. The butterfly then breaks free of the cocoon and flies off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap a bit of my journey with that of the butterfly. My caterpillar years were growing up consuming everything in front of me. Literally, eating everything in my path and growing taller and stronger. Much like the caterpillar, when my cocoon began to wrap itself around me, I didn't even notice it, because just like in nature, it blended in with my environment. My cocoon was made up of things like building the best extracurriculars for your college application, or lining up internships, right, for the best resume post-college. And then I took these high-profile jobs and these new promotions and stretch assignments to perfectly groom my successful corporate career. That felt safe. I felt protected in all of these external achievements. I could say that I worked at XYZ company, that I was a homeowner, or that I was a college graduate. But then about 4 years ago, as my cocoon started making its way up to my head, I started to feel suffocated. Whew. This meticulously constructed life started blocking my view of my own future. I became fully encased in the layers of knowledge, of credentials, and those things, right? Those things that made me fit in. And I felt stuck. In talking to old classmates from Bentley and colleagues, to fellow entrepreneurs, and even my coaching clients, I have heard that this sense of stuckness is a very common experience. There's a familiarity to it. There's even this sense of safety to it. But also at the same time, you're in this state of inertia where you feel like you're fading into the backdrop of your own life. Now, many of you are probably business majors like I was. And one of the first things you do when assessing the viability of a new business idea is understanding how well it differentiates itself in the market. How well does it stand out? But for some reason, when we go about the business of living our own lives, we do everything possible not to stand out and not to look different from the rest. That desire to blend in, to go unnoticed, I mean, it's understandable, right? Right now, we're in this culture that offers us probably one of two reactions when someone looks different or stands out, right? We've got the option of glorification or vilification. And even in glory, you're walking this extremely thin tightrope because one false move, and now you're this villain. But what if, maybe just for one moment, we left room in the in-between? Room to be human, room to be flawed, room to learn, evolve, and grow. Now, this cocoon state for the caterpillar, outwardly, looks like this state of rest. Nothing's going on, right? But when you're in it, there is a ton of action taking place. There is significant unseen growth that happens extremely fast. In fact, when the wing is being developed in metamorphosis, the number of cells that make up that wing go from 50 to 50,000 cells seemingly overnight. For me, though you wouldn't call me shy, for the years and years, I was so hesitant and afraid to share my story, my voice, and my opinions on a large scale. Give me a business to market or a friend to rave about, I am all about it. But have me talk about myself? Nope, gonna clam up, like immediately. I have done a significant amount of work But in the last month, truly, like the last 30 days, I have launched a podcast, and somehow I am standing here in front of you all today. Whew. In my ongoing journey of embracing my otherness, there's one pivotal component, and it's been truly understanding who I am, or me searching, if you will, and really understanding what my beliefs are at my core, and what I want my world to look like. For the caterpillar, it's going to sound a little weird, but they actually digest themselves in the cocoon. They release these enzymes that break down their caterpillar tissues and make room for that butterfly to form. It's pretty gross, but it's also amazing, too. And one of the coolest parts of this transformation actually maps so beautifully for the transformation to self-acceptance. In a 2008 Georgetown University study, scientists found that butterflies actually retain their memories from their caterpillar state. They actually remember. This happens with me when I start to feel that suffocation in my body. I know that that's a clue or a sign that somehow I have fallen back into that old routine. And what I need to do in that moment is I need to stop, and I need to steer myself back on the right path. So finally, in this metamorphosis process, when the transformation is complete, the cocoon goes transparent. And outside, you can actually see the beautiful colors of that butterfly. The butterfly outgrows its encasement, breaks out, spreads its wings, and flies free. As a marketer, a women's leadership coach, and a diversity and inclusion facilitator, I have seen many times that this process is a difficult one. And my metamorphosis and breaking free stages are always the most difficult. It's really scary to let go of the world you know and step into something completely new and different. A lot of times, you don't necessarily have the right words. There is no how-to book for the next step forward. And many times, these changes, they can be hidden or cloaked in pain. Because when you are pulling back those layers, a lot of those protections are a result of pain you've experienced, or even that anticipated fear. Never really even happened, but you felt it in your body. But what I found is that when you shine a light on that magical transformation, so many incredible things happen. I learned that the negativity and that fear, they can't withstand the scrutiny of compassion. My fear was actually standing in a room full of people, was standing up to people and telling them about times where I felt like I didn't belong, because in many times in my life, I was the only person of color or woman in a room. I thought that if I told them that, I'd make them extremely uncomfortable. And if I made them uncomfortable, they would dislike me. And if they disliked me, they'd be out of here. And then I'd be living this lonely, cold, and empty life. I laugh because it just sounds so silly when you say it out loud. But for me, the truth has been the opposite. The more that I have stepped up and embraced my otherness, the more I've been able to get that weight off my shoulders and welcome people in that actually enjoy me and appreciate me for who I am. Now, this sense of release is wonderful, but there's also another piece of magic that comes with it. When you start embracing your otherness, you actually start to activate your superpower that has been growing within you through all of these experiences of feeling othered. That idea, it might be a bit meta, right? So I'm just going to give you a few concrete examples of people's superpowers that have actually come through in their moments of otherness. First up, we'll take a guest from my podcast, Checkbox Other. It's actually a podcast that centers around us sharing our stories of otherness. So, my guest shared that she had been bullied in middle school. She was picked on relentlessly and had no idea why. That experience led her to be a master middle school teacher for over 25 years. And then from there, she's actually creating safe and inclusive learning environments for people who are looking to embrace their legacy. Her superpower is that she is a true keeper of safe space for children navigating the ups and downs of middle school, for women stepping into their leadership potential, and for people navigating the end of their lives. And then there's my dad. As a teenager, he immigrated to this country without knowing the English language or knowing the place that was to be his new home. For over 35 years, my dad has dedicated his life to working with people who don't always have the ability to speak for themselves, children and adults with disabilities. Growing up, I got to join my dad at work. I saw how he created opportunities for those who didn't have the ability to use language, and many times not even their bodies, to be seen, to communicate, and to experience joy and connection. And then there's me. My most familiar othering experience in life has been the most frequently asked question that I receive. What are you? Or where are you from? It comes in various languages, from all walks of life, without hesitation, from complete and utter strangers. And let me tell you, it is jarring. The angsty, teenaged me, yep, hands on the hips here, she would respond with, I'm human. What about you? So I have learned to channel that emotion, that feeling of not belonging, into actually creating spaces where you belong no matter who or what you are. You matter there. Now, I challenge all of you. What are the moments in your life where you have felt different or other? After this, take a moment, actually jot them down. I bet when you do, there are going to be those voices or those narratives that will pop up that have kept you nicely locked in that cocoon of your life. It's okay. Breathe through it and actually welcome those voices in. Ask them, is what you're saying even true? Explore if on the other side of their argument, it can illuminate the superpower that you were brought here to bring to the world. Activate that superpower, because once that superpower is engaged, you can embrace your otherness and you can be authentically you, no matter what checkbox comes your way. And at the end of the day, know that it's more than okay to live in a world where we are all perfectly flawed. Thank you.